I couldn't help but think about my peers, the other cancer patients and survivors out there who had hit rock bottom and
Yeah.
had absolutely no clue how to
Mm.
rebuild their body, how to get back balance and flexibility and stamina and strength. And so that is when I committed to the books that are being released now. These are the guidebooks for cancer patients and survivors to go from sick to strong.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Heart Inspired, the show dedicated to highlighting individuals in their pursuit of authentic leadership. We peel back the layers to uncover the roadblocks we all face, explore the actions we can take, and how to persevere towards the best version of ourselves. It is my hope that you'll be inspired by their story and gain some insights to help you in your own journey. Anyone who has survived a horrific disease like cancer knows what it is like to be resilient. Fitz Koehler, with optimal health, was diagnosed with cancer, but was not going to throw a pity party and give up, even in her darkest days. Fitz gave it a name, her noisy cancer. Fighting through it all, she made her comeback from sick to strong. Today, she is the author of multiple books, a keynote, professional race announcer, and a fitness expert. Her passion is clear, telling her story and helping others to live better lives. Please welcome my guest, Fitz Koehler. Fitz, welcome to the show.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for having me, Michelle. I'm so
Yes,
happy to spend this time with you.
yes, and we're so happy to have you here. So you were always into health and wellness, correct?
I've been teaching fitness since I was 15 years old.
So that's definitely in your DNA. Then you were faced with something that you're going to talk to us about, which you never thought would have happened, correct?
Right. Yeah, definitely came as a big
A
surprise.
big surprise, right? So Fitz, let's hear your story and tell us how you went from being optimal health to your noisy friend who you called your noisy cancer.
Well, I'm the noisy one. I'm
Oh,
the
you're the
noisy
noisy
one.
one.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm the noisy one. So yeah, in December of 18, I mean, I was absolutely living my best life. I have two incredible teenagers, Ginger and Parker, and happy at home and a killer career that I created, just because these are the skills that I had and these are the interests that I had. I'm a professional race announcer. So 30 plus weekends a year, I travel around the United States announcing some of the largest, most iconic running events in the world: Los Angeles Marathon, Buffalo Marathon, Detroit Free Press, you name it. I'm in the start and finish lines. I host and cater to tens of thousands of happy athletic people almost every weekend, which is nothing but pure joy. I do busy keynote speaking, and that's a real gift to me because with keynotes, I get to teach and then I get to connect. I love the live audience feedback and, just very, very happy seeing lots of things. And I was also running races and, again, just living my best life. So late December 2018, I had a mammogram, a clean, sparkling clean mammogram. So that's, I think, December 27th. And I walk out of the radiologist with a clean bill of health. And less than 7 weeks later, I was at a race weekend where I was actually running. I came out of the shower and naked, and I rubbed my underboob. I just did this motion right here. And I thought, oh God, there it is. I found a lump. And I knew right away what it was. So I didn't even tell anybody. I just thought, okay, so I have cancer, but I can't address that right. I mean, I instantly called the doctor and made the appointment for the next week. But I decided I can't change it this weekend. So I'm gonna go run that race and have fun with my friends. And, I have a real strong policy of not crying over milk that hasn't spilt. I never freak out over things that aren't confirmed to be broken. So a week after I found that lump, I went in, and my radiologist, I did another mammogram, and then she was doing an ultrasound, and she said, Fitz, you definitely have a mass I'm concerned about. She said, but there's 3 hard swollen lymph nodes, and that's really concerning. I need you to go see a surgeon right away. And with that's when finally the tears exploded out of my face because nothing. I had nothing. And other radiologists have looked back at those scans in December. She didn't miss anything. There was nothing there. I had such an aggressive form of breast cancer. It was spreading through me like wildfire. So I definitely believed I was going to die. And it was tough.
Wow. That's pretty incredible. So you kind of parked it like, I can't deal with this now. I'll deal with it tomorrow.
Well, I deal with it as I have to, right?
Yeah, yeah. Do you know,
Yeah.
it reminded me when you said that, it reminded me of the movie Gone with the Wind, when Scarlett says, "Can't cry about it now," or something like that. She's like, "Tomorrow's another day."
Me and Scarlett O'Hara were.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So now you've been diagnosed aggressive, family knows now. Tell us what that was like going through. I'm sure you had a great inner circle for support and things like that, but tell us what that was like.
I told my husband after I had that ultrasound, like he had no idea what was going on. But I
Mm.
made this phone call, or I texted him, "Hey, do you want to have lunch?" And he showed up, and he's a police lieutenant. So he comes in his uniform, and he said, "What's wrong?" He knew there was something. So he just said, "We're going to figure it out. I'm going to be by you, and we're going to get you through this," which was great. Telling my kids was, dreadful. I actually waited until we got the biopsy results because, again, I didn't want them to have to worry over milk that hadn't officially spilt. I chose to do them separately. Parker's a real introvert. He was 13 at the time. He's a quiet kid. He processes
Mm.
things quietly. Ginger is like me. She's like me, but on steroids. So she feels things at a very high level. So we told Parker first while she was exercising in our gym, and he handled it very sweetly. And he just said, "Mommy, you're gonna look so cute bald." And
Oh my gosh, she can make me
I,
cry.
I know it was what I needed. Now, later
Mm.
he told me he was convinced I was going to die. And my methodology would tell him, I said, "Hey, bad news, good news. I found a lump. Turns out it is breast cancer, but I'm going to be fine. The doctors told me I'm curable. I'm going to look kind of weird. I'm going to feel kind of bad, but I'm not going anywhere. Just hang in there with me. I'm going to be okay." And so he apparently didn't believe that, but he was very sweet. And then Ginger, she came out, and we sat her down, and I gave her the same bad news, good news. I'm going to be fine. But, she reacted the way I would if I thought I might lose my mother. She wailed, and it just was
Mm.
unbearable. It was almost as if I had already died. It was a really painful experience. But as she's crying, I'm desperately trying to console her and convince her that I was going to be fine. I really still wasn't convinced I was going to be fine. I was just like, anything to get this kid to be okay. But you know what? Kids are resilient. It took maybe 2 days till she and Parker were mocking my future bald head and whatever. So, they really were resilient. So my inside circle was full force, and telling them one by one wasn't a joy, but everybody had my back.
When you were going through that, so now being so in touch with health and wellness at such a young age, you're dealt this bad deck of cards. When it was time to go for what's next, the process, the treatment, and everything else, I mean, I know you must have had dark days, but I
Yeah.
think in our earlier conversation when we first met, you talked about how you were going to fight this thing tooth or nail.
Oh yeah. I think the best things I did were I made these decisions before I started treatment. So I think
Mhm.
the most important thing I did before I started treatment was make two decisions. Number one, that cancer was not going to steal special time with my kids. So if they had a
Mm.
show, a ceremony, or a sport, I was going to be there. I didn't know what was going to happen to me. I really had no clue, but I made that firm decision, and I knew I was going to figure it out. And then the other thing I decided is I wasn't going to let cancer steal my career. I have
Mm.
earned my rightful spot on those incredible stages surrounded by extraordinary people, and they're coveted stages. And I knew that, if I didn't show up, perhaps they'd replace me for the year, and that would become for permanent. I just would be at home crying. I just would be so sad if I missed out on the thing and the people that I love. So I decided, come hell or high water, I'm going to go. And that got dicey, got very dicey, but yeah, those were great decisions. I also chose to use perspective. I'm a really pragmatic person. And before I had cancer, I used to always say when something would hit the fan, I'd say, "Ah, it's not cancer. We'll get past it. It's not cancer." That was my bar of what would be the worst thing. So
Oh,
anything less
wow.
than cancer was fine. Car wrecks, it doesn't matter, not cancer. And then all of a sudden it was cancer. And
Wow.
I don't have it. I don't, there's a part of me that maybe is broken in a good way. I don't know how to have pity. I don't know how to be miserable. I don't know how to be doomsday. And so what did I decide? I decided, well, I'm not a kid with cancer. Cause can you imagine being a 4-year-old with cancer?
Yeah.
And even more importantly to me is it wasn't my kid with cancer. And so, if cancer had to choose one Kohler, I'm so glad it chose me. And I was going to put on my big girl panties and figure it
Mm.
out. And, these decisions, stuff happens to us. I don't feel like I was targeted. I don't feel like God type entity chose me
Yeah.
and was like, for her, she's going to have doom in her boob. And I don't think there was any rhyme or reason other than I had a cell go rogue. And now I had to beat it up. But there were things I could control, and I tried really hard to control everything I could. I fell victim to a lot of the brutality of treatment, but I still I leaned in, I charged forward. It was awesome.
I bet. I mean, I could just tell you're a fighter for sure. So how long were you going through treatment and things like that before you then became like, okay, now I have another story and another chapter that I need to speak about?
So my treatment lasted, I had 15 months of chemotherapy, which most folks will tell you is a ungodly amount of
Mm.
chemotherapy. It was a really long time. I had 33 rounds of radiation. I had some surgeries. At first, I told my inner circle, I really didn't want to have to go public with this. I'm a private person. I don't air dirty laundry. But I was going to go from waist length hair to no hair, and I wasn't wearing a wig. So I figured, well, people are going to ask. I'm going to have to let them know. So I let people know that I had cancer. And I told them, listen, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do my job. You'll see me in the places I promised to be. I will not accept pity, but you can
Mm.
root for me. So those are my terms. And the thing is I also decided after that is, my business, Fitzness, even though it bears my name, it's about you. My business is about you. And my role is to be the beacon of health and happiness, not pain and suffering and sorrow,
Yeah.
right? So they knew I had cancer. That was fine. And I didn't need them to know anything else. So I didn't tell anybody when I was sick, when I was broken, when I was suffering. I just kept all that stuff to myself, other than my very inner circle. So what had happened is along the way, stuff was going down and nobody knew about it. And it would be these real great ironies where, I'd be sleeping on a hotel bathroom floor, just trying to survive. And people would be texting me being like, oh my God, you are crushing cancer. You're crushing it so hard. It looks so great to see you doing so great. And it just was like the
Yeah.
worst moment
Yeah.
of my life. And it would make me laugh because I'd feel like, sold, man, I have got them believing what I wanted them to. And it wasn't that I wanted to lie to them or trick them. I can't handle pity. Pity is also something I'm not okay with that. And so if those people would have looked at me already, they were kind of like, oh, the head cock.
Yeah.
How
Oh,
are
yeah.
you? How are you? And I didn't want their head to go like, how are you? Um, so yeah, it was interesting. And so I decided to write the book because all this weird stuff started happening, bonkers things that nobody talks about. They talk about sickness and being tired and being bald. But when my eyes changed colors, I was totally thrown off. I thought, well, what? This makes no sense. How did this happen? Why did this happen? Nobody's talking about this. And all sorts of bizarre things happened along those lines, where eventually what I thought is, you know what? People would get a good laugh if they knew what was really going on. And so at
Oh,
first,
no.
yeah, at first it was just my like ridiculous sense of humor. And I thought, people would get a kick out of this. But then, as things progressed and I realized how much service I did to myself when I made those decisions to pursue my career and pursue time with my kids. And right now, the mentality for everybody seems to be duck, hide, cover, put a mask on, isolate, go nowhere, do nothing, which I think is devastating to an individual. I think it's a very bad plan. I'm not your doctor, but I think isolation is a bad idea, unless, of course, you're contagious, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I just started to feel like, you know what, I've made some really good decisions, and things have been hard, but there's been some freaky highs that could not have been achieved without the combination of cancer and these decisions. So then I started thinking, well, this is my obligation, is to help people do better and be better. I think that if I tell this story, I can help people do better and be better. And that's where it's my noisy cancer comeback. So I'm the one. Cancer's not noisy. I'm noisy. But it's the tales of my adventures and misadventures with cancer. And what I love now is the feedback is exactly what I'd hoped. So many cancer patients say, oh my God, I read your book I was down in the dumps, and now I am living more fully and I have more confidence. And yes, I still cry, but I laugh a whole lot. And that was my road. I cried almost every single day. But then I would dry my tears and I'd get up and I'd go do something positive or but yeah, I would just make the best of things. And that's how that book was born.
Wow, that's really incredible. A tragic incident in your life and create a positive and then create a message to help others. How long did it take you to write this book? And were you writing it while you were in chemo? Were there
Yeah.
dark days and things like that? And before you answer that question, your eyes changed colors? Like I've never heard of that either. So
I'm
what
so
were they before? What were you born with and what did they change to? And did they
okay. All right.
change back?
No, no, no. So I was born with pale gray eyes, gray, maybe pale blue. It depends. Like if I cried, they looked a little blue, but mostly I had gray eyes. And people would remark, "Are you guys gray?" It was just was my eye color. And I was at the Big Sur Marathon in April in Monterey, California, beautiful Monterey. And so I woke up in the morning. It might have been 4:35 because races are really early. I get up, I jump in the shower, and I have no hair anywhere, right? So it's easy. Like you get in, you wash up, you dry off like you're drying a plastic bowl, and you move on. But so I take my first look in the bathroom mirror, and my eyes were no longer gray. They were navy blue saucers. Like I had the marble eyes. And I looked in and I thought, what the heck is going on? And I looked again. And I mean, what do you do with this information? Right. So I'm alone and I start trying to figure out, okay, what do I do? I could call Dr. Gordon, my oncologist. What's he going to do? I could call 911, but I assure you, if I called and said, help, my eyes have changed colors, they would have sent a psychiatrist, not any
Kind
sort
of
of
bus with some white coat people coming.
right. What are they going to do? So then I thought, well, I can see, and I have about 5,000 people waiting for me. So on with the show. I'm just going to get dressed. And then as I'm getting dressed, I started thinking, well, maybe I'm just seeing things, right? Maybe it's me. When it's time to go, my announcing partner, Rudy, he comes and knocks on the door. And I open it up and say, good morning. And instantly he goes, what the hell happened to your eyes? And I know. It's so weird. So anyways, that is exhibit A of 30 other different freaky deaky things that made no sense. And all I could do was laugh, right? I mean, some of it made me cry, but I had a very, very difficult, very stressful, very scary, very funny, silly experience with cancer. And, you can't have it all. Some people want to always focus on the negative. Oh, just look at me. I'm sad. Everybody feel bad for me. I don't find any reward from pity. I just don't.
Yeah.
And it brings other people down, and
Yeah.
imagine you get in that car act. You're in a traffic jam, right? You get in a traffic jam. For me, all I can think is, oh, thank goodness I'm not in the car up ahead that crashed that caused a traffic jam. But there's, Debbie Downer, where she's in a traffic jam and she goes straight to work and she wants every single person she passes by for the rest of the day. Did you know I was in the traffic jam today? And boy, I had to pee. And, Debbie Downer wants everybody to be down like her.
Yeah.
I just don't bite off on that stuff. So again, I would be a liar if I didn't acknowledge some of the hilarity that went on with my situation. And hopefully that inspires other people, not just cancer patients, to kind of lighten the heck up. Look at the bright side, what could be
Yeah.
fun or funny about this stuff. So anyways, that was a long answer. Sorry.
Well, no, that's pretty cool. But so back to the question, did you start to write the book while you were in chemo
Yes.
and radiation?
Yeah. And I started writing it on the planes. Planes is when I had downtime where no one was talking to me. And it's interesting. They say when you write a memoir, don't write in chronological order. Apparently that's a no-no. However, with cancer, people really want to know dates. They go, okay, when was your clean mammogram? And then when did you find your lump? And then when did you start treatment? And when did this happen? And so I chose to go chronological. And all of the dates, all of the things that were really powerful, like that I had this crazy MRI experience at the start. Well, that appointment was in my phone. I knew when that happened. I lost much of my hair on stage at the Los Angeles Marathon. That was easy to know when. So the date, I didn't journal along the way, but when I started thinking, oh, I want to tell them about this and I want to tell them about that, it was easy to just pull up dates. And it took me probably a year from starting to write it to putting it in my readers' hands.
Wow. And so when does the book drop? Is it published? Is it out?
Well,
Tell us that.
Noisy was released in October of 2020.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that was the first, but the books that are coming out at January 23rd, January 23. So they're out are Your Healthy Cancer Comeback and the Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal. And those books, so when I hit rock bottom, when I had lost 11% of my body weight, when I was skeletally skinny and weird looking, and I went back into the gym after surgery to try and build back strength. And I sat down on a machine and I tried to push and I couldn't. I had it set to whatever I used to lift before chemo and everything. And I had to keep lowering the weight, lowering. And I ended up having to lower it 80%. So I only had, if I could lift 50 before, I could only lift 10 now. And I had already had other signs of weakness. I couldn't open water bottles. Sometimes I couldn't open a car drawer. I mean, I was pretty brutalized. But at that moment, when I saw what happened with the weights, I instantly knew, like, okay, this is how I'm going to rebuild back my body. I had a expertly designed program waiting for me. I was going to get back to fit and back to athletic better than ever. And la-ti-da, good for me because I'm a fitness expert. However, at the very same moment where all that was going on, I couldn't help but think about my peers, the other cancer patients and survivors out there who had hit rock bottom and had absolutely no clue how to rebuild their body, how to get back balance and flexibility and stamina and strength. And so that is when I committed to the books that are being released now. These are the guidebooks for cancer patients and survivors to go from sick to strong. I don't believe anyone planned on me having cancer, but I believe this is, if there's a why, it's this, because this will change lives. I'm really excited to get these into people's hands.
That's amazing. We'll make sure that all of your books are in the show notes so that those who, I think there's every person I know either knows somebody or was impacted in
everybody. And that's my request is, if you love a cancer patient, either get these books for them or make sure they're aware, because they're going to need them.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. So your message is, obviously your passion and your mission are a result of you, unfortunately, having cancer yourself.
Yeah. Lemonade.
So, yeah, exactly. So aside from the books, has anything changed when you're on that stage speaking or announcing? Do you approach things differently?
So personally, the way I approach things differently, and I was a pretty fierce gamer before. Like, I was a competitive kickboxer for 10 years. I love life. I want to go. I want to have fun. But now even more so, I try not to be reckless about it. But after cancer, nothing is scary. I'm not afraid of physical challenges. I'm not afraid. I don't care what other people think of me. I mean, of course, I'd love to have extra friends, but I truly, when I say what you think of me is none of my business, I mean it. I looked death in the face. And does that seem kind of dramatic? Yeah, maybe, but it kind of was dramatic. So I don't sweat any of the small stuff now. It's there are definitely silver linings, and
must be very freeing.
It is. I mean, everything is better than it was in July of 2019. When I walk into chemo number 6, that was possibly one of the most difficult days of my entire life. Everything will be held against that. And if it's not as bad as that, I'm okay. As long as my kids are healthy, I'm okay. And so that's a great gift. Now, when I walk on stages, this is another little message that I'd like to include, because when I'm announcing a marathon, for example, people get really trepidatious, right? They show up and they're very nervous. Even people who've run marathons before. And amongst all the race distances, there's only one that's a marathon. It's 26.2 miles, and it's a long way to go. And so people are fearful. And, my job not only is to crank them up and get them excited, but to calm their nerves. And so I always say, hey guys, who's doing their first marathon? Lots of hands go up. Who's kind of nervous today? And you hear, yeah, me. And so I say, okay, a reminder that war is scary, cancer is scary. Going 26.2 miles with a bunch of really cool people is an adventure. It's an opportunity. So take that nervous energy, harness it, turn it into excitement, and just relax. Have a fun day. I purposely try to make sure all of my marathoners hear that. And I get this feedback after the fact from strangers will message me on Instagram. Thank you so much. That really calmed me down. And when I was at mile 17 and everything hurt, I remember this is not war. This is not cancer. This is by choice, and it's a good one. So cancer has helped me lift the others up when they need it too.
Wow. How was it for your family, your children especially, that they've seen you come out on the other side? What's that? I mean, it sounds like you had an amazing relationship before, but what is it like today?
And I got to say that my kids are pretty cool. I'm not convinced they think I'm cool at all.
No, children don't think we're cool.
They're 19 and 17 right now.
Oh,
They
yeah.
would never give me the satisfaction of saying, hey, mom, you kicked butt. I'm proud of you. So I think in the back of their head, they probably feel like mom did a solid on that one. But
yeah, it'll take a little time, but you'll get that. You will get that. I have children who are older, and it's not until they're older that they start to see you as, cool and really accomplished and everything else like that. But it's great that you're around for them, right?
Oh gosh, I'm so grateful, and they're so wonderful. Even when they're cranky little turkeys, I'm so in love with them. And so I take the good with the bad.
Exactly. And having a husband in police field, tough guy,
Yeah.
But who would you say is tougher in the family, you or him?
Oh, me by far. By far, that man can't even handle a cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I am the workhorse. You know what? He lifts heavy things and he squishes yucky bugs and he does his man stuff. Ooh, aha. But I love guys. I never want to trash on guys, but we are the superior gender for sure.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. And I'm so glad you said that because I feel the same way. My husband does the bugs and all that stuff. In fact, my daughter, who is really afraid of bugs and doesn't live with us, even though she knows her father can't get there, she will call him and say, I saw a bug.
I would do
it's
it.
like, what do you want me to do?
It's the right thing for her to do. It's just to notify. Put the dad and the boyfriend figures on notice. Gosh, it would be hard to not. If I were to be in a romantic relationship with a woman, that would really be a source of contention because she would have to be the bug kicker outer or crusher. There would be some chick problems if it were just two of us. So yeah. Yay, boys.
Yay, boys. That's right. I love that. Yeah, I could totally agree with you because, I don't like doing it either. Well, Fitz, this has just been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing so openly about your journey with your noisy cancer, or you're the noisy and your cancer is the one that you were noisy with.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
As we close out, other than the books, what's a big goal for you for this year?
I mean, I have so many races ahead. I'm going to England to speak next week. So I'll do a keynote over there. I would love to continue reaching out and doing a little more overseas, connecting with more people, just like your audience. What a gift that you allow me to come on and talk to the people that love Michelle. And just have more fun, more adventure, more sand in my toes.
Yeah, life is a gift, that's for sure. There's a saying that I've heard a couple of times when someone says it's nice to see you, and the person says it's nice to be seen.
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, all the best of luck to you. Thank you again for being on the show. We will make sure that in the show notes, we have all of your books. If you have anything new up and coming, we'll make sure that we have drop dates on that, as well as the one that you had before. Please, listeners, if you do have somebody, a loved one, or even yourself that is a cancer survivor or going through that, highly recommend you pick up a book and help both of you navigate through this journey together.
Yeah. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, everybody. Come visit me at fitzness.com and say hi.
For sure. Be well. Thank you again for listening. We'll be back soon with a brand new episode of the Heart Inspired Podcast. Until then, I'm your host, Michelle Delgado. I welcome you to support the show by rating us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast. To learn more about Heart Metrics Consulting, Book a strategy call by visiting the website at heartmetrics.com.